Anthropic just dropped Dispatch, and people are calling it an OpenClaw killer. Here's what it does. If you have Claude Desktop running on your computer, you can now message it from your phone. Tell it to check your email, pull a file, summarize your calendar, draft a report, run a deep research, and Claude does the work on your machine while you're at the gym or sitting in a coffee shop. Similar idea to what OpenClaw does. But when we look at Claude's full stack and compare it feature by feature with OpenClaw, the picture is a lot more nuanced than one kills the other. I tested it, mapped out the full ecosystem, and here's what I found. So here's what we are covering. The 5 Claude surfaces and how they all fit together. Then Dispatch Live, how to set it up, what works, what breaks, and actual test results. Then the comparison everyone is asking for, but not just Dispatch versus OpenClaw. Claude has scheduled tasks, 38 app connectors, browser automation, and a skills system. We are comparing that full stack against OpenClaw, feature by feature. And at the end, the gaps that actually remain. So you can figure out what fits your situation. If you are trying to figure out where Dispatch fits, whether you still need OpenClaw, or what Claude can actually do now, let's get into it. Claude now has 5 surfaces. Same AI model behind all of them. Different interfaces, different access, and different audience. Here's how they work. Chat is what most people know. You type a question, you get an answer. No file access on your computer, no app connections, just a conversation. Cowork is inside the Claude desktop app. This is where Claude becomes an agent. It can access your local files. It connects to 38 plus apps like Gmail, Notion, Slack, Google Calendar, Microsoft 365, and so on. It can control your browser through a Chrome extension. It runs in an isolated environment on your machine. And it has scheduled tasks. You can set Claude to run specific tasks daily, weekly, or hourly, automatically. Claude Code is the same agent power, but through a terminal. You can also add a plugin in Visual Studio and start chatting over there with Claude Code. It reads your entire project, writes code, runs tests, handles Git. It also has its own scheduling, the loop command, for recurring tasks like monitoring a deployment or polling for status updates. Dispatch is Cowork's remote control from your phone. You text a task from Claude mobile app. Claude executes it on your desktop using all the files, connectors, and browser access. Remote control is the same idea, but for Claude Code. You start a coding session on your computer, then continue it from your phone or another browser. You send a task, walk away, and come back to the results. Dispatch and remote control are how you access each one from your phone. Scheduled tasks, connectors, skills, and browser automation plug into both. Now that we can see how the pieces connect, let's test the newest one. Setting up Dispatch takes just about 2 minutes. Just open your Claude desktop application. On the left hand side, you will see this Dispatch option. If it is not enabled for you, just restart your application, and if you still don't see it, just reinstall Claude application and you will start seeing it. Then click on it and you will see a QR code that you can scan and install the application. Or you can go to Play Store and search for Claude, install that application, and then switch to Dispatch over there. And then you can start chatting. One thing to know before we start, your desktop has to stay on with Claude Desktop running. If your laptop goes to sleep or app closes, Dispatch stops. So you need to switch on this keep awake option. You can also allow all the browser actions if you want, or you can approve them on the go when required. For me, it's not working currently. Maybe there is a bug. Alright, let's see what it actually does. So we are going to send a few tasks. So I have my mobile screen getting shared on the right hand side, and we have the Claude application on the left. Let me start the application. Once we are in, we need to select Dispatch. And now this is where we can start chatting with it. So let me ask it to check my emails from this week and summarize updates on Minimax and Google AI platform. And as you can see on the left hand side, the message was received in the Cowork. And now it is working on it. And it is done. Let me ask, what's on my calendar for Monday? It has fetched those events and has responded back. Now let's test if it can read my local files and summarize the content. So I have this file called Complete Guide to Using Claude, and Claude has access to that directory. So I'm asking it to analyze the Complete Guide to Claude doc and summarize it. Now it's asking which doc are we referring to. It's on my computer. Now it's searching for the doc. Alright, so it was able to read the file and successfully summarize it. Let's look at one more final use case. Find 3 most viewed videos on copywriting on YouTube and summarize them. And here's something worth seeing. Claude needs permission before it can access the browser. So if you're out somewhere, this task will just sit here until you notice and tap allow. So I've allowed it. It took a good long time of, I think, around 10 minutes to complete. So that's what Dispatch adds. But the comparison people keep making, Dispatch versus OpenClaw, that's not the right comparison. Claude's stack has a lot more than just Dispatch. Let's compare the full ecosystems, what each one can do and what it cannot. Scheduled tasks. Can Claude do scheduled recurring tasks? Yes. Cowork has /schedule. You can write a prompt once, pick a cadence, hourly, daily, weekly, etc., and Claude runs it automatically. For example, morning email briefings, weekly reports, file cleanup, all on autopilot. Similarly, Claude Code has /loop for even more granular scheduling. For example, every few minutes if you need it. In fact, you can click on schedule button over here and create your scheduled tasks. But can it do what OpenClaw's Heartbeat does, where the agent wakes up on a schedule and proactively checks if anything needs your attention? I would say we can get close. We can set an hourly scheduled task that says, check my email for anything urgent and flag it. So functionality wise, it would be a little similar. Where does it fall short? All of Claude's scheduled tasks only run while your desktop is on and your application is running. If your laptop goes to sleep, the task gets skipped. Claude Code's loop tasks also expire after 3 days. OpenClaw's Heartbeat and cron jobs run 24/7 on a server. No desktop app, GUI, or displays needed. Next is app connections and messaging. Claude has over 38 native connectors. Gmail, Notion, Slack, Google Calendar, Microsoft 365, and more. You can extend beyond these using MCP servers. OpenClaw takes a completely different approach to access. Instead of app connectors, you interact with OpenClaw through 15 plus messaging platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Teams, etc. One thing worth noting here is Claude Code just launched Channels, which adds Telegram and Discord integration for developers using the terminal. So the messaging gap is actively closing, though it's currently limited to 2 platforms and requires a developer setup. Third, models. Claude's entire stack uses Claude models only. Opus, Sonnet, Haiku, you pick which one, but they're all from Anthropic. OpenClaw is model agnostic. Claude, GPT, Gemini, open source models, or completely free local models through Olama. Next is security. Claude runs in an isolated environment on your machine. It only touches the folders you explicitly grant access to. You get permission prompts before anything sensitive is touched, whereas OpenClaw is open source and it has its own security history. A critical vulnerability exposed 40,000 instances globally in early 2026. More than 800 malicious skills were found in community marketplace. And NVIDIA just entered the picture and launched NemoClaw, which in a nutshell is OpenClaw with a security layer. One day before Anthropic launched Dispatch, NVIDIA announced NemoClaw at their GTC conference. It's an enterprise security wrapper for OpenClaw. It directly addresses OpenClaw's biggest weakness, which is security. It's still in early phase, but NVIDIA is actively investing in OpenClaw's future, which tells you something about where the industry thinks this is going. Next is always-on operation. This is the core architectural difference. Claude's entire stack, Cowork, Code, Dispatch, scheduled tasks, all of it requires your desktop to be on with the app running. Whereas OpenClaw runs a persistent process on any server, Mac Mini, Raspberry Pi, or Cloud VPS. It genuinely runs while you sleep. Next is agent capabilities. Cowork can coordinate sub-agents. It breaks complex work into parallel sub-agents automatically. Both Cowork and Code have a skills system for reusable workflows. Whereas OpenClaw goes further. It supports full agent hierarchies, specialized child agents, all running at the same time. And self-evolution, where if OpenClaw encounters a task it doesn't have a skill for, it writes a new one and reuses it next time. The agent builds its own capabilities over time. Claude's skills are powerful, but they don't write themselves. Next is setup and cost. To set up Cowork plus Dispatch, you just need 2 minutes and zero technical knowledge. Whereas to set up OpenClaw properly for your use case requires at least a few hours. Claude costs you $20 a month on Pro and $100 to $200 on Max. Whereas OpenClaw software is free, but you need to pay for API calls if you use Claude models. And Claude manages the token consumption more effectively than OpenClaw. So OpenClaw comes out to be more expensive if you are using the same model. Claude stack covers a lot more ground than most people realize, especially if you factor in scheduled tasks, connectors, and the skill system. The remaining gaps are always on server operation, multi-model support, full messaging platform choice, and self-evolving skills. Now, whether those gaps matter depends entirely on how you work and what you need. If this kind of research first breakdown is useful, don't forget to subscribe the channel and drop a comment. What are you using and what's the one capability that matters most to you? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.